Okay, we are almost live. Just getting this all set up. So we're going to be live on YouTube. So for those that are already watching on YouTube, we're going to be live on Facebook, and we're also going to be live in our Facebook group. So I'm just connecting us to our Facebook group, and we'll be good to go. Okay, we are almost there. Okay, so feel free to start bringing your questions in. So I'm going to do a live Q&A on how to grow your e-commerce business. So put the questions in. I'm going to start reading them over the next few minutes, and then we will get started on answering them. So feel free to get the questions in. Okay, we are rocking and rolling. We are live and ready to go. All right, so I'm going to go live today on asking all questions on how to actually launch, well, not necessarily launch an e-commerce business, but sort of the tips and tricks that it takes to grow an e-commerce business. So I'm live in our e-commerce training ground on Facebook. So if you are following on YouTube, or if you're following on just my public profile on Facebook, head over to the Facebook group. It's called the e-commerce training ground. We'll let you in. And that's where we ask lots of questions. We learn everything about e-commerce, and I sort of jam with everybody on there to give them tips and tricks on how to grow their e-commerce store. So this is a Q&A about how to grow your e-commerce business. So if you've got any questions, I'm following along in the comments. So just drop a comment down below and I will answer those. I've got a couple of questions that people have already asked, so I'll answer those ones quite soon, but I just might wait for a few more people to join the call. So I can see a couple of people now on YouTube. So nice to see you. Hello, Miss Sadie. Nice to see you. Thank you for saying hello. Nice to see you, Sandy. A few other people saying hello as we go. Awesome. So as I said to people who are just joining now, prior to this, today I'm just going to be doing a live Q&A on anything that might be holding you back from launching an e-commerce business or growing your e-commerce business. So maybe you've launched your store and you're not getting the sales that you want to get. You might want to know, do I need to run ads? How do I run ads? Why are my ads not working? You might want to ask whether or not your site's set up correctly. You might want to ask basically anything that there is to help you grow your store. So seeing a few more people coming in, which is nice. So thanks for those that are joining across Facebook and Instagram. Not Instagram, I'm not on Instagram, for those that are on YouTube. Awesome. Luigi, thank you for posting. You've got nothing seems to be working with absolutely anything that you've tried. Okay, we can go through that in a second. I've got a little bit of something that I want to go through on there. Just keep them coming in. We'll make some notes on some of these questions as we go. What else have we got? All right, I might go through things first. I think one of the questions that we get a lot of the time in our e-commerce academy is, I've launched Facebook ads and they're just not working. Okay. So I want to unpack that a little bit with all of you guys on, whether you're running Facebook ads or any sort of ads, actually the same sort of system works, to try and unpack where the problem is in your business. So what I'm going to do is, on this call, I'm going to open up my iPad and we're going to jump across and do a little bit of scribbling on the iPad. So that you guys can sort of take in what I'm putting down. I find I'm a bit of a visual learner, and it helps a little bit more that way. So what we're going to do is, I want you to think about your store here. So let me talk about what's happening right now, just for you guys. So your ads don't work, okay? Now, for anyone that is following along, let me know if this is something that could be interesting for you, okay? If your ads aren't working, just type in one of the comments in the chat whether or not your ads are working or not, and you think this might be something that could be interesting to go over, okay? Whether or not your ads are working. So your ads currently don't work. Okay, a few of you. All right, awesome. So if your ads don't work, there's a couple of ways we want to look at it this way, okay? So there is a few different things to think about. So if we've launched an ad, okay, so we've got our little ad here and we, let me make it blue. So we've got our little ad and we launch our ad here. Our ad might be a nice little video of something to do with our brand, okay? Nice little video to try and get people's attention. So what we want to do here is we want to look at some metrics, okay? There's a couple of metrics we want to look at. The first one we want to look at is your click-through rate, okay? So click-through rates basically means if someone likes your ad and they think it's interesting, so they want to learn a little bit more. So we want to see a click-through rate anywhere above 1%, okay, is a good click-through rate, right? So if anything's above 1%, the idea is that they then move on to your store, okay? So that's sort of one thing there. If it's below 1%, so let's just say it's below 1%, then the problem is your ad, okay? The problem is that your ad doesn't appeal to the person that is coming through, okay? Is this making sense to everyone? Yeah, awesome. Be sure to write in the comments just so it feels like I'm not talking to myself. So yeah, if the click-through rate is below 1%, then it's an ad problem, okay? If it's above 1%, then it means that, okay, there's some interest here. Ideally, the higher the better, right? We want to see click-through rates of 3, 4, 5%. It means that that ad is really firing. And if the click-through rate is high, it means that Meta or wherever you're doing your ads on TikTok, this applies to any ad platform. It means that they're going to get signals saying this ad is great. I want to show it to more and more people. All right. So that sort of thing. We want to look at click-through rates, the first one. The other one that we want to look at is how much is being spent on the ad versus budget. Okay. So let's just say you got a $30 a day budget or a $40 a day budget and it's not being spent. Then that means that the ad creative again is not very good, right? So if the budget is not being spent, so if we're not spending the budget, then we go back and we need to change the way the ad looks, okay? So if it's not being spent or it's got a low click-through rate, we need to change the way the ad looks, okay? If it is being spent, then we move on, okay? The budget's being spent. This is in a very basic scenario. So click-through rate means they like the ad, right? If the budget's being spent, it means that it's going out to the right amount of people, okay? It means that there's stuff happening there. So then what happens is we drive the people to our store. And let's just say they then come to our store, but they don't buy, okay? So they don't buy and we don't get any sales. That's meant to be a question mark. Then that means that where they're landing doesn't meet what they saw here on the ad, okay? So you offered them something on the ad. You said, hey, I've got this thing. They go, sounds great. I want to click that thing. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to go to my website and buy the thing. All right. They get there and they say, wow, this doesn't match what I was expecting. Okay. So I'm not going to buy it. So there's a word which is congruency. We want to make sure that the ad matches what happens on your store. Okay. So this needs to look like what we're seeing on our store, on your www store. Okay. That needs to look like that. Okay. But I hear you saying, but Brendan, it does look like that. They're still not buying, right? So this is when we start to think about the conversion funnel on our store. Okay, so if we're driving people to our store and they're getting there, but they're not buying, then the problem is your store, not the ad. Or it could be that the ad doesn't match the store, right? So if you guys agree that the ad matches the store, then we keep going. All right, so now that we're on our, let's just say our Shopify store. Okay, so if we're just on our Shopify store and they're still not buying, there's a couple of things we need to look at. One, the offer. Okay, so actually we'll do it this way. Is the offer correct? Okay, does the offer make sense? Right, so if we're selling a black cap, okay, let's just say, and I've advertised it, I like buying black caps, obviously, but I do have other colored caps, but black caps is my work cap. But let's just say I click a link for a black cap and I go to the website, but this black cap is $200. And I'm like, wow, $200 for a hat? That's a lot of money. So I then need to dig into why the hat is $200. All right. So that means that, okay, my expectation versus the offer don't match. So I want to make sure that that matches. So that's a price-bound offer. So what I need to do then, if I still want to sell this hat for $200, I need to show the audience or the visitor the value of that hat and why it's good, right? Maybe it's made from alpaca wool. Maybe it is a hat that never needs washing. Maybe it is a hat that always maintains the shape. Maybe it's been signed by Michael Jordan or someone famous, okay? What is it that gets that value? That's the first point. So if we have the value right, then what we want to measure is our add to carts. Actually, I'll do it in a different color so you can read it. We want to measure our add to cart percentage, okay? Add to cart percentage. What the add to cart percentage signals to us is that people like your product. Means that they're interested, okay? If they click add to cart, it's a signal that says, hey, the value makes sense to them. Tick, we're ready to go, okay? Hope this is all making sense to you guys. Thank you for putting some questions in. So drop a few questions in while I'm finishing this little spiel off, and then we'll go to those ones. So the next part is if it's add to cart, then what we do, and all these metrics can be done in Shopify on the dashboard. You'll see them under the conversion rate section. So if they click it and they go add to cart, happy days. It means they then go to what we call reach checkout. Okay, reach checkout. So here we want to check out what our reach checkout percentage is. So add to cart to reach checkout. And if we find, so add to cart, ideally, right, team, we want this to be, like this is 5 to 10%, if not higher. We want it to be 10%, to be honest. I would love everyone's to be 10%, but you know, we're all trying to start out, but we want it to be around that 10% mark is our percentage, okay? Then our reach checkout should be half of that 10%. So 5%, and these are the minimum versions, right? We want them to always be going up. So when our reach checkout percentage to be 5%, okay? And then we've got our conversion rate, okay? Should be 2+%, okay? Ideally we want 4, 5, 6, 7%, but if we're sitting at around 2 to 3%, it's a good start, okay? So the idea is if they get to reach checkout, that means they're happy, but if they don't get to the conversion, then it means that there's something wrong with your shipping proposition. It's cost too much to ship. And one of the biggest mistakes I see is that people selling a product for $10, $20 and their shipping is $10. It means that it's costing 50% of your overall product to actually do the shipping. Okay, so that's really tough. We want to really try and nail that shipping piece. So we want shipping to be fast and free if possible. If it can't be free, we want it to be fast and cheap. And we want it to be fast and easy to understand. So, you know, flat rate shipping or, you know, something that is, you know, easy to sort of know, you know, flat rate, priority or express. But the idea is we want to remove all these points of friction in the funnel. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful. So that basically we went from, okay, if your ad is no good, it means that your CTR will be low. And it means that the audience that you're targeting is no good. Okay, if your ad's not working. But if you're getting a high CTR and you're spending all your budget and it's landing on the page, then it means that your audience that you're targeting is incorrect, your offer's incorrect, your congruency is incorrect. If that's all good and we're seeing add to carts, but from add to cart doesn't go to reach checkout, it means they don't think the value is right. And if it doesn't go from reach checkout to CVR, it means the shipping is wrong. Okay? Whew. How does that sound, team? That was a good one. All right, hopefully that's helpful, but basically that's the purchase journey from an ad. That's how I want you to think about it. So in order to understand why your conversions don't work, you need to work all the way back and sort of follow the funnel all the way through. Okay, so that's the funnel that we follow. Alrighty, cool. Getting a few questions coming in now. Nice to jam on that one. All right, so let's go through a couple of them. I might go through, so James has made a comment on Facebook, which is great, in our Facebook group. So for those of you following along on YouTube, if you're not in our Facebook group, it's called the Ecommerce Training Ground. Just search for it. You'll see a guy in a black hat as the cover photo. That's me. We will let you in and you can jump in, and that's where we do a lot of our training material. So James has asked a question. What is the best way to use Shopify for subscription services? Okay. So James, I'm guessing you're talking about subscribing to, say, food or drink or, you know, supplements or things that people like, gift boxes or things like that. I personally use on our coffee store, we use just Shopify subscriptions. It's pretty basic, but it does the job and it doesn't have any complex sort of, you know, advanced features. So if you want to go in and edit a subscription, or if you want to go in and, do something custom. It doesn't really do that. So, but it does a very basic out-of-the-box subscription. There's other tools such as Recharge, which is pretty good. That one has a lot more features in it, but they cost a lot per month if you're just starting out. Whereas Shopify subscriptions is good to get started because it doesn't cost any extra. So that's the one I use. It's a free app from Shopify. If you check out my store, which is getdose.co, you'll see the subscriptions in action in there if you wanted to. So hopefully that is useful. All right, Mitchell. Hey, Mitchell, nice to see you again, man. Haven't seen you for a little while. Driving trucks and having babies. So thank you for jumping on. Your question is, what's your opinion on landing pages versus to a direct collection? That's a great question. Really good question and topical, actually. I've been thinking about this a little bit in our elite team. So let me take you through something. As you get to it, so for everyone, I know Mitchell pretty well. He was a member of our elite team for quite a while, and he has a great store, and so he has some volume. So what I'm going to talk about now is probably more about more advanced store strategies, where when you've got a bit of volume on our stores, you can do some split testing and testing like this. But I'll show you the strategy anyway. So what Mitchell is asking is, if we're driving traffic to our store, right? Let's just say we got our ad. Okay, nice little ad here. We'll make it a video ad. What Mitchell's asking is, should we drive this to our collection, or should we drive it to a landing page? Okay. So that's sort of the question he asks. Collection or landing page. Now, we typically teach beginner stores, people that are starting up, always just go straight to a collection page, because what that does is that shows, the visitor all your products if possible. Now, if you've only got one or two products, drive them straight to the product page. But if you've got sort of a range of products, a collection page is a nice place to put it, because then they get to see everything that you sell. Okay, so that's the first way just to get started. Now, as you start to get a little bit more advanced, you have the option to do a landing page. And so I'm just going to give you the two options here, Mitchell, and you can sort of take it as it is. Now, the con of having a collection page is you can't modify it too much, okay? You can maybe use, actually, let me do it this way, so without question marks. You can use Shopify sections and do like custom templates if you want on this, but you can't modify as easily. And what you can't do is, we'll call it a limited funnel. So typically, a collection page is laid out a little bit like this. We've got the collection, we've got our logo here, and then we've got our menu at the top. We might have a small description here, and then we have our products, okay? That's sort of how our collection page is laid out. That's sort of the first way. So that's a pretty standard way of doing things. Whereas a landing page, what we can actually do is we can customize the funnel. Okay, we can customize the funnel. The cool thing about this is we can run a landing page really long, and you guys would have seen this, and you can basically customize it however you want. Okay, so you can maybe have a video up here talking about your product. You can have a big audacious call out here. You can have a big call to action here. You could maybe do some little supporting things here, and then you could do some social proof as an example, okay? What that basically does is allows you to customize this page in its entirety to be able to really extract value out of it. And what I do see some people do, and this is where the volume comes into play, if you're running multiple, if you're running, if you've got lots of traffic, is you could run two side by side, sorry about the, and you could do what we call a split test, an A/B test, where we could start to test the differences between these two pages. So we might, change the colors of this, make this green, etc., and see which one applies. So that's a long answer to a short question, but basically these are the two ways you can run ads. You can run ads to a collection or a landing page. I think as your page gets more mature, I would create landing pages and split test those landing pages to see if you can squeeze that conversion rate out of it. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. Did anyone else find that useful, thinking about landing pages? I can see Marilyn has posted on YouTube a video guidance for landing pages, please. There is one cooking as we talk, which is why I said this is topical. I've actually been thinking about this a lot, and it's a lot a lot of discussion around landing pages right now. Okay. So as you can see, I know I've got a few people from our bootcamp commenting right now. So those guys are the under sort of $10,000 a month guys. You can start to see the levels that you go through in e-commerce. We just want to do it super simple, super quick, start getting some runs on the board. And then as we start to get a little bit more sophisticated, we can do more strategies like this. So Mitchell's, doing some really good numbers per month. So he has the luxury of being able to have traffic to be able to test these things out. So Mitchell, I think you should definitely try landing pages on your store. People just starting out, don't get distracted by the fancy objects of landing pages. Just state them straight to collections. Okay. Cool. That was a good one. Thank you, team, for asking that question. I like that one. All right. Let's see what else we've got. All right. Terry. Thank you, Terry. Nice to see you. Terry asks, his ad is in learning mode despite it now having been running for a while. What could the issue be? Click-through rate is 3.9. Nice. Solid click-through rate. Frequency is 1.6. Cost per click is 40 cents, but only 2 purchases over the last 7 days. All right, so a couple of things here. Learning mode usually comes out once you've got 50 conversions, so it does take quite a while to come out of it. There's a few different ways we can play this out. One is you can change your conversion goal to be add to cart as an example, so that it teaches the algorithm. So you get those. Let me draw it out. So learning mode is. We'll do this. Learning mode in ads. Okay, learning mode. So learning mode is basically you telling Facebook what a conversion looks like. Okay? So it's telling you what a conversion looks like. Learning mode means what a conversion. Now, there's, if we think about the same funnel we talked about, there's a number of conversions. You've got page view, you've got add to cart. These are just very basic ones. And then you've got checkout, and then you've got purchase, okay? So these are all the events, well, not all the events, but the most of the events that Facebook tracks, okay? So what we typically teach is we want someone to, when we teach our ads to start with, we say, you know what, just optimize for purchases, okay? But what that means is that we need to drive people all the way down the funnel to get that purchase, okay? That means that Facebook knows what a purchase looks like, it knows what your goal is, and it knows how to get it. Now the problem is, sometimes getting a purchase can take a long time because we're still testing and trialing. So there's 2 approaches that you can do here. One is we change the ad so that we get purchases quicker, or we increase our budget so we get purchases quicker, right? Because you're getting good click-through rates. Conversion rate's probably not that great, but we're sort of getting there. So in your instance, you've got that option of improving your ad, spending more money. Or the other option is running another ad, but optimizing for somewhere lower down the funnel. Okay, so something like optimizing for add to carts or checkout. So we're bringing them a little bit earlier because you're likely to get more conversions here. Okay, and as I said, we need to get 50 conversions to try and come out of learning mode. Okay, excuse me. So for your world, Terry, I sort of know your budget because you're in our bootcamp. I would probably increase your budget a little bit and test a few more ads rather than move the conversion goal down the funnel. Because we want to try and get sales as opposed to moving down the funnel. So they're the 2 options you've got. And for those of you that are doing Facebook ads, there's no one rule, there's just guidelines, right? So we just need to know the numbers to determine how we want to play the game, okay? Everyone runs their ads slightly different. We give you structures on how to run it. And in the bootcamp, for those that aren't in there, we do teach a really simple and easy 1 campaign structure, which I know Terry is using. And that is a really easy way to do it, but we just need to measure the numbers to decide what direction to take. Okay, there's no sort of copy and paste fix for these sort of things. We just got to learn sort of which part of the business isn't working. Okay, hope that's helpful, Terry. Yeah, so in your world, I'd probably dial your budget up a little bit and test some different creative. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got another couple of questions here. Mitchell says he's on his way to WA in a road train while doing a live with us. Drive safe, please, Mitchell. Jeez, I'm sure you've done this before. All right. James has another question. You've mentioned that you need to know your numbers. What is an ideal time to acquire good data? Look, you definitely need as much data as possible. There's probably no ideal time. It's just the longer the better, right? The more data you have. I know when we look at guys in our elite team, and for those that don't know, but our elite team is our members that are scaling to $1 million a year. We love looking at current data for the month, but we also like looking at last year's data or months before, because then we can do comparisons and determine what we do next. So the more data, the longer you have, the better. And I liken this to something my mentor once told me. He's like, success is guaranteed. You just have to give it time. Okay. And you have to just keep working on the same thing time and time again to get success. And the reason that is important when it comes to data is because the reason you get successful is you learn from previous information, historical information. Okay. So you get better and better over time because you keep learning. And the more you learn, the more you earn. So the idea of saying, what's the ideal time? Well, how long's a piece of string? You just got to be able to read the data and make decisions on it. So there's not a real clear answer for that one, unfortunately. If I liken it to, say, a fashion business as an example, let's just say we sell t-shirts and we look at the data while we're in summer, that's going to be completely different to the data that we have in winter. Okay. So that's where the whole cycle of 12 months is going to make a big difference. So the longer you are in the game, the better results you're going to get, because the more you learn from historical information. Okay. Hopefully that is helpful for you, James, and everyone else on the call. Cool. All right, a few more other ones. I can see Terry's just replied to one of my questions. He says, the advice is great. The budget is low. Is this possibly the issue too? Yes, it is definitely the issue. Okay. Budget is low. So think about this. If you've got a ad campaign and you're only giving it $5 or $10 a day. Actually, you know what? Let's have a look at your stats that you told me. So you said your click-through rate, you got cost per click of, say, 40 cents. So let's just say your cost per click is, just to make the maths easy, because I'm going to do maths here. Let's just say you have a $10 a day budget. Okay, let's assume this. Or let's just say you have a $10 a day budget, yes. And your cost per click is $1. How many clicks are you going to get when you spend $10 a day? Okay, 10 clicks, which means you only get 10 sessions. Now, if you've got a conversion rate that is 1%, it's going to take you 10 days to get that one sale, right? And the reason for that is we measure conversion rate on 100 sales. So 100 sales at 1% is one sale for every 100 visitors. This is making sense? So if you've got a $10 budget and your cost per click is $1, you're only going to get 10 sales, which means it takes 10 days to get 100 visitors, which means it's only going to take one sale. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So it's all just maths, team. It's just a game of maths. We've got to look at what our cost per click is, look at what our conversion rate is, and then determine how many visitors we need to get at that conversion rate to get a sale. It's just a game of maths, okay? So we will need to raise our budget if the metrics don't make much sense, okay? All right. Let's keep going down on this one. Okay, so we've got one from Sandy. Okay, she says, I've been having issues with my pixel not connecting to my store properly. I've contacted Facebook and they said they were fixing it but haven't. My ads are currently paused, but when I relaunch them, should I start from scratch setting up the ads or continue with my current ad set and just work out the purchase conversions myself? So good question, Sandy. I would relaunch your ad campaign with the pixel fixed. I'd start a new one from scratch because the old ad campaign is on the old broken pixel. So we start a new one with a new pixel. That'd be the best way to do it. Okay. Now, yeah, that's the only answer. I don't have any additional thoughts on that one. Just start one from scratch. Cool. Hopefully that's good. Excellent. All right, we've got a couple more minutes, so I've got time to answer one or two more Qs. Nano Nanderson, I'm loving this question. This is in my YouTube channel. They went to Cambodia and were forced to, they got dermatitis. What do I do? Unfortunately, this is an e-commerce chat, so I can't answer you about your dermatitis, but what my friend said to me, who is in skin therapy, is what you eat actually comes out into your skin. So maybe just change your diet. Maybe I should start becoming a nutritionist. This is a good one. All right, time for one more question, team. I'm going to either be on our YouTube channel or in the live chat, so feel free to dump it in there. Let's see what we got. All right, we got one from Marilyn here on Google Search Console. All right, let's see. So Marilyn asks, Google Search Console, which is a pain to fix the issues. Shopify creates a sitemap for collections, but Google doesn't index some of them. They're all unique and checked. Do I just manually ask to index them? Absolutely, Marilyn, that's the best way to do it. Just manually submit those URLs. In theory, they should get indexed if they're in the sitemap, okay? In theory. So a couple of things you just want to double check that there's no code in there stopping that page from being indexed. Sometimes that can happen. We can have a little bit of code that sits in there and doesn't let it being indexed. But if it's in the sitemap, double check it's in your sitemap and it's not being indexed in Google, then yeah, just absolutely manually submit it. So anyone that doesn't, this is probably a short little hack. On my YouTube channel, I have a little video about submitting your sitemap to Google. If you haven't submitted a sitemap to Google from your Shopify store, I urge you to go and do it, because what it does, it signals into Google every single page that you've got on your website, right down to your blogs, through the custom pages to the whatever. It'll dump it in there for you. Okay, so make sure you do that. Team, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to bail now, but for those of you that are new to my world and you aren't getting any help, feel free, and you're looking to grow your e-commerce business, feel free to jump in the e-commerce training ground on Facebook. We jam a lot on e-commerce, but if you want a little bit of a leg up and you want to get to that $10,000 a month, I do run an e-commerce bootcamp, and a number of the people in the bootcamp are commenting on this, so nice to see you guys. And what we do is we help you step by step to get from where you are now to $10,000 a month. And then when you reach the $10,000 a month mark, we then graduate you into our elite team and we put you on the path to $1 million a year. We've done this for hundreds and hundreds of people and we're getting some pretty amazing results. And I'm sure everyone in the comments that's in the bootcamp can attest to that. So if you're interested on getting that little push, that little help, these live classes are just the tip of the iceberg on the types of stuff that we teach. So it'd be love to have you guys in the program. Just comment down below this video or drop me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, and I will be sure to help you out. Over and out, team. Really nice to catch you all, and hopefully I see you on the other side. Later.